Today, guys, on Age of Empires Mobile, we're going to be playing on the test server, and I'm going to showcase all the brand new Season 2 heroes that you can unlock. This is going to be the existing heroes that you may know, such as Bellevue, Suleiman, and even Boudica, but this is going to include some more newer names that even surprised a lot of us, the content creators and testers that are checking out the Pioneer server currently. So with that, let's dive in to today's video. So before we do begin, I just need to remind you guys, we are playing on a test server. So if you're looking at all the Pioneer server watermarks, that's just to remind you guys, this isn't real, right? This is just a test server, and anything that I'm showing you right now could change in the final product. Just remember. But when we're looking at some of these heroes, we do know of them, right? So the first one is Bellevue. We're going to go down her skills and the star ratings on each hero here. So if you want to look for a certain hero, there will be timestamps like always now for you guys. So Bellevue is a warrior archer. She's going to be basically a really good pickup for a lot of players because you're going to be able to use her to actually replace heroes like Josephine if you're more of a lower spender and you're using her, or even you can remove that King Derek finally if you're super free to play, and you can run a Bellevue, Josephine, and kind of like an Attila setup with your archers. It's going to do fantastic damage and put some really good DPS out on the battlefield. You can obviously do some more funky setups too, but Bellevue is really powerful. Her main war skill on the open field isn't that good. It's a little bit just okay, let's be honest. It's like a 3 out of 5 on the rating scale. It just does might damage to the target and increases the hero's might for damage for 6 seconds. When you look, it's 92% and increasing your might by 16%, right? The main skill is where things get interesting. There's a chance to enter the double attack state for 3 seconds and increases the hero's might and reduces the hero's armor for every 6 normal attacks dealt for 9 seconds, right? So the way this works is every 6 normal attacks, you're going to increase your might, but you're going to reduce your armor. So it's kind of like a, again, double-edged sword. You're taking more damage, but you're going to deal more damage. She's a very good glass cannon in that essence. And when you look at all of these signatures, there's a 20% chance of entering that double attack state. This is going to be relevant when we talk about actually her stars. So that's why we need to showcase these. Increase the hero's might by 17 points. This obviously will increase the more you go up. And again, reduce the armor by a lower amount. So that's kind of all the stats for you guys. If we jump out of the Bellevue skill though and go to her star rating, this is where things do make this hero really good. And I'm going to say, sadly, I do think 5 stars is what you do want, because this hero at 5 stars transforms. Because you have already in the first star a pretty good upgrade. You're going to get extra might by 60 points. So that extra might bonus you had from her first skill now gives you an extra 60. So you're getting even more bigger bang for your buck. And then on the third slot, you get an extra trigger chance now by 10% on the double attack state. So if you can imagine this, going back and looking at the numbers, we have 20%. That's already becoming 30% at level 1, right? So you can see how much of an upgrade that really is for her, and that is going to make her very powerful for most players. When you get her at 3 stars, you are going to feel that power of Bellevue. However, when you hit the 5 stars, this is when she changes and transforms into a monster glass cannon DPS hero. Because now you do not no longer reduce your own armor. It's amazing. No armor strip on yourself, but guess what? You increased your might by an extra 30 points. So in total, you're getting 90 extra might now when you trigger your skill, and you're not even reducing your own armor. As you can imagine, that is really good. So you can see why people like Mulan and Attila and Josephine, basically double attack based heroes, really do like Bellevue, and it's a really good upgrade for them. So the next hero on the list is obviously going to be Boudica, and everyone has been waiting for Boudica if you're a pikeman. She is going to transform you again as a warrior pikeman speciality. Why? It's mainly because of this main signature skill. I'll be honest, she's kind of in a similar boat of Bellevue, where this war skill is just kind of like, okay, it's not anything great, and you really don't care about having this as your primary commander. Because when you look at her main skill here, what she provides you is basically a buff to your highest might hero. So she's going to do some nice counterattack damage and obviously deal might damage to the attacker like all pikemen, but increases the might of your hero with the highest might in the battle. So if you look at obviously this in more of a detailed report, you can see it's 44% and this is going to increase, and then going into the might again, 4 points of might, and this will increase as you level her up. Really good, because this means your Leonidases, your Richards, all of those heroes basically are going to get buffed if you do it correctly in your formation build by the Boudica, and that's kind of what you want. A nice support that deals some good damage but actually has some utility in there. Yet we're not going into their more skills, but she does have some really good optional skills that we can discuss maybe on a separate video. But today we're going to try and keep these nice and short and sweet so we can get through all of them in a timely fashion. So if we go into her star ratings isn't too bad either. Her 1-star increases the damage rate of her swift reprisals counterattack damage. Really good 1-star already. Nice little immediate effect. Going into the 3-star increases the trigger chance now of it, which is really good, from 20% to 25%. Getting that 5% increase, but you will feel that changes things from a 1 in 5 into a 1 in 4. And that does give you a really good more consistency in the march. In the rank 5, Swift Reprisal increases the might of your hero with the highest might by an extra 30 points. This is situational if you're a big spender. If you want to go for that, I'm going to be real with you, just having her 3-star does feel really good for the investment, because the amount of extra investment you get in is going to benefit you, don't get me wrong, in the long term, because it is giving your main hero extra might. But a lot of players may not be able to do that, and honestly saving potentially your Empire coins for other heroes is going to be maybe the go-to call, right? So that's Boudica all covered, all of her skills and stars. Let's move on to the next one. Now we have the legend, the one, the only Lu Bu. This is the name that has been haunting probably many people, because they've been hearing Lu Bu everywhere and not wondering what this guy does. And this is the savior for warrior cavalry. So if for some reason you're playing warrior cavalry in season 1 and you're struggling, we understand they're not the strongest there. However, as soon as you get the Lu Bu, it's going to change everything. This guy will be the primary commander of the lineup. Why? Because he is absolutely just cracked on every front. So this deals might damage to multiple enemies in a circular area. This is the first time we gain this type of effect, and it reduces their movement speed for 3 seconds. So we get a true circular AoE for the first time, which deals damage to multiple troops and reduces their movement speed, making obviously the chase down in open field even easier. So if we've got a big cab gang, guess what? The cab gang is stampeding over you. And when we look at the damage again, 110% is no laughing matter on this, up to 5 enemy troops. Really good. And increasing, and by the way, this can critical strike, which is kind of crazy, and you'll see why in a second. Grants 100 rage as well when entering battle, and it's only 200 rage to go. So guys, it is just kind of nice when you think of what you're going to have as an upgraded primary commander. And now let's look at his signature skill, because this is the skill that you're going to be obviously activating in open field, turn by turn, combat with your formation of your other heroes. This is just insane. He increases the hero's critical strike rate and makes all of the hero skills able to deal critical strikes. Yes, you heard correct. So basically, he is going to enable all of your heroes, including himself, to basically deal critical strikes through skills. And then there is a chance to make Lu Bu deal another normal attack after any of your heroes deal a critical strike. So just imagine you've got Guan Yu and he crits you, and as soon as he crits you, Lu Bu coming in from behind, boom, and he hits you as well. It's almost basically like a double attack that's just waiting to be triggered on a critical strike. It is crazy, and it works so well with the entire format of running a Lu Bu with that Guan Yu, and the third slot has to be Attila. It is just a match made in heaven when you try it out. It does an absurd amount of damage for cavalry, and you might actually be surprised at hunting down some Mulans for the first time with this match. So try it out. Honestly, a really powerful hero. Just going to showcase the details here for you guys, and then let's go into his stars, because obviously we've already seen how good this hero is, and when you look at his stars, it's always good. At 1 star, you're increasing the critical strike rate by an extra 5%. That is huge. Just having extra percent a chance of getting that extra damage bonus, which is what a critical strike is great. So having the extra is always good for such a low investment. Then 3 stars, really good again. Increase the damage of Lu Bu's next customizable skill by an extra 30% every time after any of your heroes deal a critical strike. Like, what an investment for just 3 stars even. You are getting so much damage output. It is crazy for this hero. Then on the 5 stars, increase the chance of unrivaled prowess activated on an extra normal attack by 30%. So again, if you go for the full value at each stage, this hero, it just gets better. I'm gonna be honest, 1 star is really good. 2 stars is just amazing, and then obviously the last star is actually exceptional because having that extra chance is allowing this hero basically as your primary commander to jump in and jump in and jump in all the time, right? With your Guan Yu and your Attila in the back while they're dealing the critical strike. So really powerful hero, Lu Bu, there for you guys. First look on the test server for you. So let's move on to the next one. So this is Mansa Musa, and this is kind of a newer one for me. I don't know this, so this is going to be kind of more of a first reaction, see how I perceive it. But this is going to be a support buff warrior pikeman, so nice to see some warrior pikemen coming into the lineup. His war skill here is going to be deals bite damage to multiple enemy troops in a fan-shaped area and reduces the enemy's commander armor for 6 seconds. Not too bad, but again, it's okay. I think you don't need to put him as a primary commander for this. There is better active skills you could be running instead. So let's check out his main skill, right? His main signature skill. So after your troop takes 12 normal attacks, you deal might damage to the enemy troop and reduce your troop's damage taken for 3 seconds. Not too bad. Actually, not too bad. So this is going to deal 119% and obviously goes to 3.5% reduced damage taken. Obviously going to scale up, which ain't too bad. But yeah, okay. I'm not going to say this is an insanely good hero, especially not comparing it to like what we've just seen with Lu Bu or even Bellevue. But he seems okay. If we're going to compare him to Boudica, I would say I would take Boudica over the Musa currently. But that might change. Let's have a look at his stars and not knock him down on the floor. He increases the damage rate of the Devout Radiance by 50%, which ain't too bad for that 1-star rating. Now on the 3 stars, when Devout Radiance is activated, you additionally recover your units. So now you're gaining more of the recovery, right? So here we're dealing might damage, we're reducing troops damage taken, and we're recovering units now. Now that feels a little bit better if I'm being honest. That makes you a pretty tanky based support hero instead of an offensive enabling hero, which is what Boudica is, right? So actually, I'm not gonna knock him down. He's not too bad at 3 stars. So at the 5 stars, and I think many people are gonna go for that, but increases the damage reduction effects of Devout Radiance by 6% and extends the duration by 3 seconds. I do think that's okay, but it's nothing too crazy. I'm gonna be real. So what I would honestly suggest is maybe a 3-star Mansa Musa. There we go. And he will honestly probably do well. I want to hear your thoughts on this hero, because this is obviously my first time. I honestly think when he's at 3 stars, having that extra recovery does make him a supportive warrior pikeman. Do you want that in your lineup? Maybe not. You might want to use obviously certain skills that you could have in these more skill slots, right? Which could obviously heal while you're dealing counterattack damage anyway on your other heroes. So interesting. That's Mansa Musa. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. My boy Charlemagne, and we obviously know this hero from other games, especially if you're a old school Rise of Kingdoms player. He isn't the greatest hero on there. However, on Age of Empires Mobile, Charlemagne is a really interesting hero because this is one of the first support active tacticians that we're getting where, depending on where you place him in the commander or secondary slot, is going to give you a different effect and actually affect that formation's usability, which is kind of interesting because it could change on, again, how lineups are going to be created. So when we look at his first actual war skill, nothing crazy, guys. I'm going to be honest. This is just going to recover your troops and give you a massive amount of strategy. 9.2%, obviously, as you increase. Grants 200 initial rage upon entering battle, which ain't too bad because obviously it's only 400, so you get 50% of the way there. Not too bad, right? But the main skill, this is what's interesting. So when Charlemagne is acting in second in command, so if he's the second hero, your main commander has a chance to immediately activate the signature active skill and increase the skill damage. It's really cool. So basically, if you're in the second slot, maybe you've got your Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu triggers, it comes to Charlemagne, and because Charlemagne's there, he has a chance to allow Sun Tzu to trigger his skill immediately again, which is kind of cracked, and it gives him more skill damage. However, you can also put Charlemagne in the commander slot. And if you put him in the commander slot, this will increase the activation chance of secondary commander signature active skills for 6 seconds. So you can see how being actually in the commander slot or in the secondary slot is going to benefit you. And certain heroes may not need the actual damage upgrade. They may just want that activation chance and the higher amount of activation chance, right? For the amount of time, which is really important to think about when you are making a formation, right, in Age of Empires Mobile. So Charlemagne, really interesting hero. Honestly, one of the actual really first ones to take note of compared to Bellevue or obviously Boudica, which are a little bit more straightforward to understand. When we go into his stars as well, this does make things even better when you look at them, because when Charlemagne uses his ability, Sacred Crown, as second in command, he also increases his skill damage, increases effect by an additional 12.5%. So you get even more damage by that supportive effect in the 1 star, making him honestly a really cheap support that you may want to get potentially in the future. 3 stars is going to increase the trigger chance of the skill effects by 4%. It's a small amount, but obviously it's nice to have that. And then going all the way to the 5th stars, when Sacred Crown effect is triggered, if Charlemagne is the commander, it grants the second in command 20 might and 20 strategy for 6 seconds. And if he is the second in command, it grants the main commander 35 might and 35 strategy, basically for 6 seconds. Absolutely transforms. So you can see why 1 star is really good and 5 stars really good. I feel like the 3 star personally isn't too much of an investment, and that's where people are going to be probably on the fence. Is this a hero you're going to pick up? Because it seems a really steep climb, but that upgrade is very, very powerful. And like I said, a very interesting hero that you could be pairing up with Sun Tzu and potentially even tactician archers. So like YSS, right? This could be something kind of crazy in the long run. So we've got Charlemagne there. Now we have Mehmed II, and he is a support buff dual class warrior hero. So you're going to be able to use him on infantry and you're going to be able to use him on archers, which is very cool. That means basically Mulan's got a new toy and Miyamoto has potentially a new toy. So let's have a look at Mehmed II for the first time here. Increases the damage dealt by nearby allied troops. Wow, I actually really like that. Upon taking skill damage, recovers units based on damage taken for 9 seconds. Actually not too shabby. Do you need him as a primary commander? I'm going to say no, but it is actually a good commander war skill, because the fact is you could be potentially a T5 player, right? Let's be real. You could be a T5 player running Mehmed II in a murder ball, but if you're only running that 1 march, this is up to 3 troops, and your other troops will be prioritized. Well, if you're not running any other troops, guess what? 2 of those troops could be T7s, and now you've just increased the damage dealt by those two T7s, which is actually massive for the free-to-play player to play that supportive role and actually be accomplished, right? Be useful and feel like they're having an impact on the open field. So this is actually really interesting. I do like their skill, and obviously recovery isn't too shabby either. Now, signature main war skill. So this is obviously what you're going to be using in your turn-based combats now, the main signature skill. So here we go. Every 6 seconds, there is a chance to trigger the following effects. 1. Reduce your troops' damage taken for 3 seconds. Or 2, increase the damage dealt by your troops' active and secondary strike skills for 3 seconds. Wow. Like, I'm gonna be honest, this feels like one of the stronger heroes on this, probably on the same bar as Lu Bu. I'm gonna be real. This hero seems crazy. And when we look at the details, let's see how much this is. Oh, there's more text. Let's have a look. Once every 6 seconds, there's a 60% chance to trigger the following effects. Each effect is checked separately. Interesting. I wonder how that line interacts, because this could mean 2 things. This could mean basically what most people might read it as. The skill will read to see if number 1 is online. And if it is or isn't, it will try to trigger it with a 6% chance. And if it doesn't, it will try to trigger number 2 with a 60% chance. If it does trigger, I believe, one of them, it may not trigger the other. However, at the same time, it does say it could be checked separately, meaning 1 and 2 could be triggered, and that is where we need full clarity from the devs, and I will find that out for you guys. I want to hear how you think this skill works. If you want my actual opinion, I'm going to read this as if I was reading a Magic the Gathering card, and the way I am going to read this is basically it says each effect is checked separately, meaning every 6 seconds you're going to get checked on both of these skills. And you could technically have both of these skills up during that time. If you don't, it's going to try and trigger it 60%. And if it is up, it's going to let that timer run out, which is the 3 seconds. So sometimes you may get one of them on, and sometimes you might have both of them on. But again, this is, all random chances that's triggering every 6 seconds. I actually think this hero is kind of crazy, I'm going to be honest. Now going into the stars, let's see how much better this is. Increases the face damage reduction effect by additional 5%. Not too bad for the 1 stars. Again, I think free-to-play players would really like that, because not taking as much damage against the bigger players mean they can survive in, especially if they play this as that primary commander, they're going to be buffing up people. They kind of want to stay in battle as long as they can. So I do find that interesting. Going into the first one, increase faith damage, increase effect by an additional 10%. It's okay. It's all right. I'm not going to go crazy about that all night, you know. And then going on to the 5th and final star, you increase the trigger chance of fatigue's damage reduction and the damage increase effects by an additional 10%. Now, that is powerful, because that means now that is on a 70% chance triggering. Plus, with this now, that is an 80% chance triggering the damage effect on alone. Wow. Yeah, wow. No, that doesn't seem okay at all. That does not seem okay at all. Mehmed II. Wow, what a hero. Honestly, what a hero. I actually think he's going to be pretty meta. I can't wait to see him being played and get some actual battle reports for him. So let me know your guys' impression on this hero. So let's move on to the next one. Ramesses II, and this is one hero I actually sadly spoiled myself, because as I was scrolling down when I was making this a video originally to see who was unlocked and not unlocked, I saw this portrait and I went, whoa, is that my boy? And it is Ramesses II. He's a tactician, infantry, and archer. Really interesting, because that means, again, YSS, Theodora, and Sindiok or Suleiman have a new toy to play with, as well as the Sun Tzu and the match we just talked about above, which was the Charlemagne, right? So we've got quite a few tools to play with, especially for the tactician side of things now. We do need a little bit more in the toolkit, I think, and that would make the whole role a little bit more attractable for players to try. But let's check out Ramesses II. His main war skills. So this is what you can activate on the open field, or obviously choose to auto-activate by your leisurely choice. Reduce movement speed and multiple troops in an area for 3 seconds. You enter the divine protection state, during which activates a signature skill once more per second and increases the hero strategy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that. Even reading that, I like that. This is going to reduce your speed by 9.2% on the next upgrade too. And obviously this is going to keep scaling even higher. Oh, I like this skill a lot. And increasing the strategy by 9.2. And it's a 50% reduce. Oh my god, yeah, no, I like this. I like this. This is a good primary skill. I know it doesn't seem it, but you've got to think the way this is triggering is basically allowing you to have a double shot on your main skill, and it's giving you the strategy on top, and it's reducing multiple enemies' movement speed, allowing you to chase them down and kill them. So if you're trying to kill, again, infantry, or depending on what you're fighting technically, right, pikemen, you could chase them down and kill them with him. So actually not a bad primary skill. So it does make a case for being a commander, which is very interesting. Now going into the next major skill, deals strategy damage to the enemy troop. For the first 30 seconds of battle, each activation of the signature skill additionally recovers rage, and other rage effects for your troops do not take effect. Now this is crazy, because this has got some insanely good damage to it. And what's scary about Ramesses is when we go into the star rating and discuss his scaling. His strategy number is kind of crazy already, and this is going to deal a nice burst amount of damage. And you can follow it up, right, with other heroes like YSS, and then having someone like Theodora to make you tanky and actually enhance the Ramesses even further. It seems a really good call for the archer side. Increasing the rage is really good. It just allows you to get that skill off more often, so you can become almost like a machine gun as a tactician archer, which is kind of interesting. When we come out of here and we look at his actual attributes, this is where we're talking about scaling. His base strategy is 95.96, which is insanely good. And if we compare this later on to a hero, which we're going to go down, which is Suleiman, you're going to be kind of like, okay, I see where you're talking about, Sneaks, right? Going into the star ratings now, this is where things get even crazier, because his strategy increase, if you look on each one, is kind of cracked. It's +4 strategy on the 5th star. So the scaling again, compared to other heroes that we've seen that didn't go to 4, showcases this hero is going to hit hard. He's going to hit really hard. So his first star is increasing the damage rate of the Storms of Set by 45%. And also, while under that divine protection, you grant an additional 10 points of strategy, which is just wow. So if you're the main commander and you trigger your main commander skill and you get the divine protection, so you can fire off that extra skill, guess what? You're getting even more strategy points, so you deal even more damage. So again, good 1-star rating, really good 1-star upgrade for such a little, investment. Going into the 3 stars, while under divine protection, so from that main commander skill, so this is really making you want to play him as the commander here. The reduction rate of the damage dealt by the signature skill activated every second changes to 40%. So that is insane. So basically, when you're firing that second skill, instead of dealing half the amount of damage as it was, it's actually dealing only 40%, which is meaning you're getting 60% of the damage factor of your main priority skill, which is kind of scary. I'm going to be real. Reducing that is scary. There's reasons why limitations are put on double effects, right? Because if you don't allow people to basically have a reduction down, you just melt people when it hits and hits and hits, right? Going into the 5th and final star, though, when you get that upgrade, Storms of Set increases the rage recovery by 12 for 30 seconds, and then by 6 after that. Oh, interesting. So basically, for the first 30 seconds, we're going to increase our rage recovery by 12. Afterwards, it's only going to be 6. Not too bad. And then after the divine protection stage, it guarantees immunity from silencing effects. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is insanely powerful. That immunity to silence effects means it guarantees you to always get this skill off. And by having this skill going off, you know you're going to keep having that rage accumulation speed that allows like YSS and all the turn by turn to kind of fire off insanely fast. Yeah, Ramesses looks cracked. This hero looks cracked, and I cannot wait to actually use him or potentially see him on the open field on Age of Empires Mobile. Tell me your thoughts on Ramesses, and let's keep moving on because we are almost there, guys. We're almost there. We've only got 1, 2, 3, and 4, technically 5 commanders remaining now. So let's do them. So now we're on to Ramcam, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name. Maybe someone in the comments, like he did with the Ring of Hyacinth, can tell me how to pronounce it, because I'm going to name him Ramcam, the big man. And honestly, I did spoil this hero to myself, and I'm going to tell you straight away, he's not going to be, I think, a major commander. I haven't checked the war skill out, but his signature skill makes him really good. Really, really good. Because again, for Marshal Pikeman, this is a very powerful effect. And I honestly would use him over someone like Julius Caesar. I'm going to be real. I really would. I don't care about the super damage. But I would care about is kind of using counterattacks and my pikemen to support others. And that's what Ram does really well. So if we kind of look at the signature skill first, every 6 seconds, you reduce your troops' damage taken for 3 seconds, which is nice. However, you also increase the highest attributes of all players, commanders, within the area of with an area of 1500 for 3 minutes. Now, this is amazing because you got to understand how this skill is framed up. This means if you're playing, obviously, a might-based build or a strategy-based build, your main highest stat is normally might or strategy, normally. And this is going to excel that even further, and this is up to 6 stacks, by the way. This is not just a singular stack buff of 3%. This is going to basically keep stacking and stacking it up, or by 4, should I say. So it's going to keep stacking and stacking up all the way up to 24 extra bonus in an AoE, and this is kind of crazy. I'm gonna be honest, right? And that's for all of your allied players. So I do think if you're a pikeman player and you want to be that pikeman main for an alliance, I want to say right now, Ramcam is probably going to be a meta pickup. People might not think it, but when you're playing in vast 500 plus open field battles, you need those advantages, those extra buffs that don't apply everywhere else, right? You could be running, both could be running like a Mulan match. You could be identical on paper, but the reason you win is because you had a Ramcam in your area and they didn't. And that is what's going to make him, honestly, such a powerful hero, I do believe, in this game. And if we go into the war skill, his war skill isn't too bad. Makes multiple allied troops nearby enter the relaxation state and increases their damage for 6 seconds. When the relaxation state ends, you recover their units based on damage taken during this period. So if we look at this, this is a really cool little ability, right? It's basically making them chill out, you know, take a Zaza, right? Have a nice little bit of chill build time and get some damage up. And this is a nice ability. And to be honest, now reading his war skill for the first time, I'm honestly going to say, why not make him the commander? Having him as your main commander, and if you have someone like Octavian, and you could maybe put your main guy, Julius Caesar, if you really wanted to back there, just to deal some damage. It's up to you. I personally don't like it. I think there's going to be better martial pikemen like Bushra, for example, that you could be putting in there that can recover units, reduce damage taken, and disarm enemies as well. This is a really powerful support commander, and I hope you guys appreciate him especially. So now let's go over his stars. His star rating at 1 star. Reduces your troops' damage taken by an extra 3%. It's okay, it's nothing too crazy. If it was 5%, I might have been like, oh, maybe. But 3%, I don't think you're going to feel that too much. But you got to remember, it is for everyone. So this is really cool. Every 6 seconds, Splendor of the Succofy additionally recovers your units. Not too bad either. I'm giving us sustain now because we're already doing a fantastic support job. So actually the 1 and 3 stars doesn't seem too bad, actually giving you sustainability with the hero. Then the final star, it gives a 20% chance to increase the duration of the damage reduction to 3 seconds and increases the highest attribute commanders within the area by an extra 2. Yeah, no, I love it. 5 star. 5 star. Wow. And his scaling is similar to Ramses, if you've not noticed. Starting at 2, going all the way to 4. Really powerful scaling on the might as well. I really do like his 3 and 5 stars. His 1 star, it's okay. It's not the biggest, but the 3 star feels good. The 5 star feels game changing. Game changing. So yeah, I actually really like Ramcam. Amazing martial pike hero that you guys should be looking forward to. Saladin is next on the chopping block, and he is going to be a martial hero again. Cavalry and archer. Yes, cavalry and archer. So we've got some more toys to play with. So maybe if you're a Sid player, you might want to look at Saladin, but we're going to have a look at him together. He's a support-based hero, and he's going to give us rage recovery. Actually really important for El Cid. He does want to get that rage recovery because obviously the more often he can get those big hits, the better it is, right? So normally being a support hero means their main war skills isn't that great, but we're going to have a look. It could be a complete switcheroo and slap me in the face. But this deals might damage to 3 enemy troops in a fan-shaped area. It's nothing yet. This is what I'm saying, right? You can clearly see from hopefully this video when we've looked at war skills, the ones that are just kind of bland, you can clearly see those heroes are designed to be in a secondary state slot or the 3rd slot, right? This hero is in that boat. It's nothing too crazy. So let's look at his main skill and the reason why you should be wanting Saladin, right? Saladin grants your troops rage per second and extra rage when your commander uses their signature active or signature secondary skills. Okay, that does seem pretty good. So this is going to grant you an extra 5.96, so basically 6 rage at level 1 for every time you're basically triggering your rages. Actually not too bad, and having an extra 0.5 rage per second. Imagine this is going to scale up all the way to about 1 or maybe 1.5. We'll soon see, obviously, when we get there, right? But not too shabby. An actual good rage engine for cavalry and for archers. So if you actually want to go down that martial archer route, this could be a good option, potentially, if you need that rage gen. So one of a kind rage generator. Let's go into his stars, because this isn't too actually fancy to talk about, right? Fury of the Sands increases your troops' rage by an extra 0.25 per second. Not too bad. I actually like that. 1 star in that is actually really big value for free-to-play players. Giving an extra basically quarter of a second to you doesn't seem much, but that is obviously giving you a, quartering down the time per turn trigger. Your skill is going to trigger again. It honestly is going to add up over the course of battle, especially when you're leveling up this skill, right? And you're adding already 6 to it, you know what I'm saying? So not too shabby. 1 star does feel good. Go to the 3 stars. When your commander uses the signature active or secondary strike skill, the Fury of the Sun increases your troops' rage by an extra 8 points. So this is now going into that extra effect again. So not too shabby. If you really want to go for a super rage engine, the 3 star is now giving you that option. Then the 5th one, with only 3 might / strategy here. So you can see it hasn't scaled as high as the other heroes I've talked about. When your commander uses the signature active or secondary strike skill, Fury of the Sun increases your commander's damage by 25%. Yeah, that is a really good payoff. I'm going to be honest. That is a very, very good payoff. And to be honest, each star feels good. It doesn't feel like you're not getting anything bad out of each skill for once. You're gaining really good extra rage through just that general mechanic. He's going to add extra rage when you hit those secondary skills, which you're planning on doing. And then on the 5th star, you're gaining 25% more damage output. So not a bad hero. Actually a really good support rage recovery. Am I going to recommend him? I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how good the martial calves and technically the archers are going to be in the season. So we'll have to take notes and I see on the open field how he performs. So with that, let's get to the final 3 heroes on the list and chop up this video finally for you guys. So the next hero is Suleiman, and Suleiman is going to be an amazing tactician archer. Again, that's going to transform a lot of your marchers. If you're currently running a YSS, Syndiok, and Theodora, guess what? This march is going to get transformed when you replace Syndiok with Suleiman, because Suleiman is an amazing hero. If we look at his first signature skill, this is an entering a charge state. After 3 seconds, you deal strategy damage to the enemy troop and inflict an extra effect based on an enemy's current debuff, right? So if we look at these effects, you may know on the strategy build, we do apply a lot of burn through our Theodora, through our YSS, and technically through that Syndiok, which this guy is going to be replacing. And as you look at this, he's going to deal that damage. and it inflicts an extra effect based on the damage, the current one. So burn. If you've got burn on that target, which you normally do for conflagration, you're dealing extra strategy damage. Oh boy. If they're silenced, this increases the hero's next skill damage by 4.74%. Really good. And if they've got incapacitation on, this recovers your troops units by so much. And if you're wondering what incapacitation is, this is meaning people cannot deal any damage, and this effect ends after the 3 seconds, right? So basically, you stop them from doing anything, right? They're not dealing any damage, no damage at all. It stops them, saying no to you, right? Really good. And you're probably wondering, how can we get incap, right? Incap is easy to trigger because it's from your main skill. So in the Tactician Archer March, if you go for it, Suleiman will be your commander. Unfortunately, I will have to say that, because he's going to give you that free incapacitation. I can't even pronounce it all the time. Incapacitation. There we go, guys. But every time you inflict this incap onto the enemy, you're going to obviously trigger the recovery rate from your main skill. And then hopefully, depending on what heroes you've got, you're going to deal extra damage anyway because of the configuration. And if you're running a silence or not, you can do even more. So really, really good Tactician Archer. I cannot emphasize on that. And this is obviously a quick, brief rundown. But looking at his star rating, this increases the effective chance by 3%. I'm not too honestly bothered about that. I wish it was a little bit more and I'd be really excited, but it is what it is. But the 3-star is when things change. Increases the additional damage rate of the Magnificent Conquest burn state by 55%. And this is where I would say, if you're a Tactician Archer, for a lower investment, you only need to 3-star this hero, because this is going to give you such a big payoff with that YSS, with that Theodora, or Sion Diok, depending on what lineup you run, and playing configuration constantly, you're going to get a free damage output. So I honestly do like the 3 stars. I think 3-star makes him really good. And then going to the 5th star, when you trigger additional effects, this increases the hero's strategy by 65. This is bonkers, because basically this is saying when you trigger your incap, you're going to get 65 strategy. If they're burned, you're also going to get another 65 strategy, right? And this is for each of those effects. So make sure you get a good lineup and watch out for Suleiman, because Suleiman is going to absolutely nuke you on the open field. And kind of as we kind of discussed before, if we look at the strategy, he's got 110 strategy at base, right? When we're looking at Ramesses at 95.96. Remember, Ramesses goes all the way up to +4. And if we go to Suleiman here, Suleiman goes all the way as well to +4. So both of these heroes together, honestly, as a Tactician Archer build, could absolutely do some disgusting damage potentially. I would love to see it in the open field and be used first before saying, go and invest in this match, right? But that just kind of showcases, look, Suleiman and Tactician Archers will be in a better spot when you enter Season 2. Octavian. And this is one martial pikeman that you will earn for, I believe, the MGE in Season 2. And this actually is a really good martial pikeman again, right? Really good martial pikeman that you can be using. He has a good commander skill, I'm going to be honest. This allows you to be a main commander or a secondary, depends on, I think, certain compositions that you could be running, like Ram, for example. But it adds 2 extra stacks of Supreme Mark every time your hero activates a signature turn-based skill or a secondary strike skill within 18 seconds, right? So if we go over to the Might of the Ruler, we're going to see what kind of that means. So if we go over here, this mark here, marks can be placed on heroes. Skills will trigger effects based on the number of marks. So it's kind of a little bit of a gimmick that you're going to see here. So deals mighty damage to the enemy troop once every 6 seconds. You add one of the stacks of Supreme Marks every time your troop activates a signature turn-based skill or a secondary strike skill. When there's 8 stacks, your stacks will be consumed and increases your troop damage output by basically a percentage. At the current percent is 8%. It'll go 9, 10, basically it's going to increase up. Depends on how much, right? But it's basically giving you troop damage. Really good Mike Parkman, right? And you can imagine with Martial Pikeman, you've got Octavian there, and as we kind of discussed earlier, you've got Ram. So these are two phenomenal heroes that you can actually be opening up with already when it comes to it. Then there's Bushra, you've got obviously Julius Caesar, and you got, I think, another Marshall Pikeman that's really good that could definitely replace Julius Caesar instead. So good options there. So I wanted to obviously showcase that, tell you guys about that, and obviously talk about the final hero on the list. And that's going to be Yodit. And Yodit is a warrior infantry only commander. And this is going to be game changing. I'm going to be honest, this is the one hero I am honestly waiting for my Miyamoto and Tribuana build. Because as soon as you get Yodit, this works like a match made in heaven. She's going to be actually a supportive hero. You're going to place her on the 3rd slot, and I'll explain why, because of her signature skill. She deals might damage once to the target and adds a stack of deterrence, with each stack of deterrence increasing the hero's might. Also, there is a chance of entering damage immunity state for 1 second, during which all damage is ignored. Absolutely crazy. So these stacks of deterrence here basically increase the hero's might by 8.94 points, and it stacks up to 4 stacks, right? Really powerful, because this is basically allowing your Miyamoto now basically to deal even more damage just before, because the stacking of Yodit. And then also you're getting that damage immunity during, I think, his turn, which is even more powerful when you think about it, right? So what a powerful infantry hero that everyone's gonna love. This is gonna transform as well when you put Miyamoto with the Tribuana. Why does this transform the match? Because the Miyamoto is gonna bounce onto the Tribuana, increasing her activation chance. Then the Tribuana does the same thing and triggers it onto the Yodit. I mean, Yodit basically has a high percent chance to always go off. So it's a nice little like leapfrog effect that all of those heroes work together and honestly achieve an amazing goal. If you go to her star rating, it increases the damage rate of that Shadow Terror by 30%. Wow, what an amazing 1-star investment, and this is why a lot of people are excited for her. 3 stars increases the activation chance by 5%. This is what we're talking about. We don't want a 3%, we want a 5%. It's honestly such a superior number. So nice to see that 3% getting removed for 5 here. Good 3 stars. So you can see already good investment on a lower spender area. And if you max her out, shadows can now stack the deterrence up to 6, and each stack might by an extra 5, and increases the trigger chance of the damage immunity by 5%. If that doesn't make sense to you guys, and this doesn't explain why Yodit is such a great infantry hero, I don't know what does, because it's basically allowing you to stack 2 more stacks. So instead of limiting yourself at what, if we go back to her main skill here, instead of limiting yourself, let's just say 10. So this is 40. Now you're getting 60 might. And then you're increasing your chance of increasing that damage immunity state, which is so good. So you're not taking any damage. So your Miyamoto hits as hard as he possibly can. Because as you guys should know, your damage does scale down the lower troops you have, right? And that is all of the new legendary heroes in season 2. I know it's been a lot, guys. I know it's been a lot, and I do apologize. It's for a long video, but I've tried to keep each hero to 2 to like 5 minutes tops when we discuss them. If you want a full in-depth video on each of the heroes, or maybe in the future, let me know in the comment section down below. But I want you guys to be excited and hyped for the season 2 heroes that are on their way, because I am so hyped myself and I cannot wait to get a hold on them on Age of Empires Mobile. So with that said, smash a like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky, peace out.